get our Discord taken care of. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Chris Ingerson, and I should walk on screen. And it is September. Yes, it is September. It's not quite October. It is September 19th, and this is the September 19th TextQuest Devstream. So, today we are going to be doing some art. Specifically, we are going to be doing work on the Castle Grove level. Castle Grove. The Heroes Grove level. And we are going to be adding a shortcut back to the main plains area. Currently, the way this is set up, when you enter the Castle Grove, there's only one way in or out of the level. One way is to basically, well, not one way. Basically, this is the way from the woods level, and I don't really want to have it just send you back to the plains. I think it would be preferable if there's a shortcut here that takes you back to the plains. Basically, just puts you back at the entrance to the woods. And if you go back in this way, it will actually put you at the far edge of the forest, so the edge of the forest away from the plains. And that's mostly a minor thing. It's just so that there's not this weird, like, you can't go back into the woods once you get to the Heroes Grove bit. I would like you to be able to go back and do that in case players need to. So instead, I'm just going to plan on having what basically amounts to a secret path over here that's covered up in vines. And once you get the sword, you'll be able to cut through there. And basically just take the shortcut back to the woods. Or not to the woods, to the plain. Pretty straightforward thing, but that's what we're going to be working on today. We're also going to be working on, I'm probably going to try to UV these trees because they seem too thin to me. I feel like these need to be stretched by about 2 times in the horizontal axis to make us really look any sort of realistic. You can see the letters are squished, which is not great. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and grab this. I am going to... we're going to leave it. So we're going to have to re-UV this whole thing, which is fine. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to add some lines to this. We're going to go ahead and say... Subdivide is what I wanted. Here we go, subdivide edges. We're going to add 2 subdivisions. That's all we need. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and check out our positions here. We're going to go ahead and connect those. So we're going to connect those verts. We're going to grab this. We're going to connect these verts. And now we have a basic, simple structure here. I'm going to go ahead and grab this. We're going to slide that. Should I though? I don't think this actually shows me where it is in space, which is a bit annoying. But if I had to guess, it is on a unit square, so we should be fine to do that. Let's go ahead and turn on snapping. Let's see what happens. Good. Alright, so I'm going to put it, I want to say right around here-ish. Looks like about 5 trees is the standard for our path, so that's about correct, right about there. Before we do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and save. I'm going to jump into the grove scene proper so that we can get a look at the scene with the trees and such spawned in. So let's go. Oh, and while I'm doing this... So I have unit testing started in regards to the You know, I don't remember. I think it's just Grove. So I have unit testing set up in, yeah, this is it, in for the parser. However, it's not quite finished. I figured out why the runtime scripts were not showing up as we would expect, and it was pretty vexing. It's something that is unique to 2017. In all later iterations of Unity, it's not a problem, which is also vexing to me, just because can't upgrade yet. So anyway, let's go ahead and just pop right in this scene. I guess when it feels like. So I'm going to take a drink while that's loading. Oh, a null reference exception. Oh, right. I bet it doesn't. Really? Really? That's odd. I could have sworn that I set that up. Yeah, that's... Huh. Okay, sure. Why not? Menu camera. Hello, Garrett. Welcome back. How you doing today? And the word is up, indeed. So let's go ahead and drag this in. I guess we're just going to replace all this fun stuff. So, boop, boop. There. Let's go ahead and over to here. You just turned off because you can be. Yeah. All right. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. Make that number 2. Put that right there. Boop, boop. Put you up here. Get rid of this. Boom. Move over to here. We're just going to assign this. All right. Pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and close that. Man, I really should just make that a standard menu camera. I don't have any idea why I set it up like that. But I did. All right. All right. So that should be good. Let's go ahead and try playing that again. Doing well now that I have internet again. That sucked, I'm sure. No one likes not having internet. Pixel Pop was pretty good. I had a couple of pages of notes, not quite as extensive as I'm used to collecting, admittedly. Oh, you still got a null reference, huh? Oh, right. Yeah, this is just a fun bit, isn't it? So I think what we want is... Wow, I have no idea what this is doing. Shrine and audio. That is a very weird header. Okay. So Pixel Pop was pretty good. It nothing really spectacular happened there. Got quite a few enthusiastic fans. Came back, said they were very excited for it. They're happy to see it coming along. I had a couple people say that it was their favorite game of the convention, which there's actually a lot of good games there this year, so I'm very very excited about that. But yeah, it went pretty good. So I cleared without looking at what the error was. For shame on me. Let's go ahead and jump back here. So eventually, once I get this not breaking, when I start playing, oh right, it's the light dark manager thing. Then I will be able to walk around freely and actually look at this stuff. So let's go ahead and stop playing. I'm going to hop over. Like I didn't. Okay, good. I was gonna say I did do this correctly. So let's go. Let's hop over to the planes because I always forget how I set up my own scenes. Really, I should have a context command to do this all. That would be a lot faster. Anyway, so today we're going to be doing some art stuff. Specifically, we are going to be... There it is. Okay. I'm just going to copy this. Go back to the Grove. I'm going to put you right here. Paste component as new. And then we're going to go ahead and go down to here to do post-processing. Put this in the post-processing layer. I don't remember if I made a prefab for this or not. I don't think I did. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and just make a new child here. I'm going to say light post-process volume. It's global. Weight of 0. Let's go ahead and I'm going to grab, we'll just reuse the ones from the planes for now. That way I can come up here and duplicate this. Boom. I call this Grove. I think properly destroying an object is harder than properly creating one. What do you mean? So we're going to go ahead and say, actually, you know what? I am just going to go ahead and save this. We're going to hop back over here to the planes level, and I'm just going to copy paste to steal it. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to here. We're going to go back to the Grove. Just going to paste that in, put you below there. We're going to delete you. Come over to here. Let's go ahead and say profile darkness. Bam. Profile darkness lit. Bam. And then our global volume. Bam. All right. Let's go ahead and save that. Come back over to here. Collapse you. Say our darkness volume and our lit darkness volume. Let's go ahead and put this down. All right. Trying to unregister all this stuff I do during the knit. Ah, yes, that you always have to be really careful with. Trying to uninitialize things or deinitialize things is always it's always difficult. All right, there we go. Although, good God, the color correction on this is very noticeable. Are these light maps out of date? I am guessing that these light maps are out of date. Or is it just being weird? Oh, well, they're in the wrong post-processing layer for sure, which is very weird. Try that again. But yeah, pooled objects are a pain if you have to properly, well, not if you have to, because it's assumed in pooled object that you have to properly initialize and deinitialize them. There we go, that's much better. Which probably means that my planes are all wrong too. So this is how this scene is set up. There are still a few things that I need to edit, like I need to change that to be a little bit darker. Sorry about that. I almost died choking on nothing. So the main thing is that we just have these trees here. They are, I don't want to go too far because we'll trigger a scene transition. They are pretty simple. It's just the same trees that we have in the woods. I probably should scatter them throughout the scene instead of having them all kind of just be up front. But yeah, so the idea is that I want to have a very obvious shortcut path over here that is just going to be to the right. Once you get the sword, you'll be able to walk over to it and just cut through the vines, and then from there you'll be able to take that shortcut path and just make your way back to the plains. And then that way you can go back through this exit to re-emerge in the woods. So let's go ahead. Oh, Actually, you know what? Before we start changing that, it might be good to try to yeah, we should do that first. Well, no, because I need to design better torches. I still have yet to model these new torch models, and these are quite old and terrible, which is why they're so stretchy and gross, and I hate them so very much. There are other things that I want to do. Man, now I'm second guessing myself. I definitely don't want to do that on air. So, let me think. Oh, actually, something I can do real quick is I'm going to add some clouds to this now that I think about it. So we're going to say cloud. I recently redid the way that clouds work in this game. So I originally had what was basically just a quad with a texture on it. It was very low tech, very, very forced solution. But I now have a brand new cloud that works much better, and basically what this does is it will fade in and out as the cloud gets to the ends of its positions. That way it doesn't teleport in sight. It kind of just fades out as it gets to the end, and then it fades back in as it starts over again. But I would like to add clouds to the scene, actually. Oh man, you know what would be really cool is if I could get it to cast shadows. But before I do that, I'm pretty sure this directional light is just baked. Yeah, so it's okay. So let's go ahead and come back over here to the environment. I'm going to add child game object. We're going to call this clouds. Okay, we're going to put this under there. I'm going to come over to here, hit W. All right, let's try positioning you. We're going to slide you over to here. Are you aligning them to a spherical sky or just flat? They are just flat. I didn't want to have anything be too crazy to do. If I tried to do it spherically, it would. Well, I mean, it wouldn't really map out to real clouds anyway, because real clouds are not actually spherical. They are technically bound by the atmosphere's shape, which is spherical on a large enough plane, but most clouds don't really stretch for that long, so they very rarely curve. Most of them are, well, pretty flat, actually, at least compared to the curvature of the Earth. So all this does is it will move them from point A to point B, and I can show you what that looks like real quick. I'm actually just going to kind of cheat on this and make it super, super fast. So I'm going to move this like I'm going to go from 45 to negative 45, I guess. We'll say, so this will be at 45, and it's going to start at negative 45 with a height of 50 and a height of 50. And we'll make this a nice even 50 as well. This is going to be negative 50. Oops. 50 to negative 50. And I'm going to make my speed range pretty fast, actually. We're going to bump this like all the way up to 2, basically. We are going to have a random initial position, might as well. And actually, you know what? No, we'll have it start all the way over at 0. I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So it should move at about 2 meters a second, and it will basically go from one end of the of its, well, it goes from its start position to its end position. So this is about 90 meters that it's going to travel, and in that time we'll see it fade in and out. So you can see here, it's starting to fade in, and this is really all that it's going to be. It'll take however long it takes for the cloud to travel 2 meters per second across 90 meters, which is about 45 seconds, I guess. So it's a pretty simple script, but yeah, it's basically Minecraft clouds. But it's a nice little touch. I found that a lot of people really like the cloud or clouds. They seem to just enjoy having them there. I don't believe these are just regular text meshes. They're not Text Mesh Pro UGUI stuff. They're Text Mesh Pro text meshes. So you can see that's starting to fade out here, and then once that's completely faded out, it'll start fading in there again. So that's just a much better system than what it used to be, where it was just hard teleporting, basically. I do wish that it was a little bit more apparent what the colors were doing. It's very, very hard to see this color at all because it's mostly semi-transparent. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and bump this down to 0.01 again. I'm going to go to start position. We'll make this pretty basic. We'll have it start at 100 and 100. Okay, I'm just going to duplicate this about, let's start at 100. We'll have a random position as well. Put this back at 0.5. So we're going to have a random position, which just basically puts it somewhere randomly on its position lerp. I'm going to duplicate this a couple more times. I'm going to put this like here. And the idea is that we want this to kind of be staggered so that we get some nice layering, but we also don't want them to group up, which can be a bit tricky. Okay, so we're going to put you there. I'm going to go ahead and throw another one over here. It's going to go like here-ish. That might be enough. So let's go ahead and handle their positioning first. So let's go ahead and I think it's fine for them to start at -100 for all of them, honestly. We'll just bump this up to 65 and 65. Let's go down to here. So this is 56 and 56. That's a very bizarre coincidence. 50. Wait, what? This is the same height? That can't be right. Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. Duh. So this is 50, so this is 60. Okay, 60 and 60. Let's go ahead and save that. And now when we jump into the scene, they will evaluate to random positions, and then they'll start their lerping. And they also should have random speed, anywhere from 0.01 to 2, basically meters per second. Oh, of course I didn't give them their Z spacing. Whoops. All right, so this is going to be at -12, -12. It's going to be at 17, 17. This is going to be at -66. Okay, let's try that one more time. So now they should be a little bit more spaced. I might end up adding a couple more clouds. They are just basic text objects, so they're not really that performance heavy. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Nice. Oh yeah, I definitely need way more clouds. These are very a lot of blue space over there that could be used. But I do like it. So this bottom one is moving slightly higher than the higher one, which is good. I should probably... Let's see here. So this is all the way back at the entrance. Mm. I do always like it when they layer up like that. I mean, yeah, the overlap, it just looks pretty nice. Also looks like 100 might be a little too, well, so you can see it fading out there. Um, Not too bad. Should start fading in on the left as well. Yeah, that's okay. But yeah, I think if I want to set this up to be a little bit more reliable in terms of parallaxing, oh god, these ones barely moved. I need to have more rigid ranges for the top layers. So I should probably actually subdivide these into lower and upper. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and say lower, and then duplicate that. We'll call this upper. So lower level clouds will have a faster scroll speed, basically. Versus upper level ones that will not. I'm just going to go ahead and put these in a decent naming order. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab these. So we need a lot more clouds in terms of this. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to duplicate you. We're going to move down to here. This one over here. These ones are actually going to be rotated 180 degrees because we want them to be readable or legible from this direction in particular. Let's go ahead and probably, I think we can get one more in there, maybe. So let's go ahead and duplicate you. I'm just going to slide you over to here-ish. I'm going to put you like here, kind of like in the middle almost. Right about there. It's pretty good. Let's go ahead and move this just a little bit closer. Actually, no, let's keep it there. Now we're just going to move you a little bit closer. All right. So these ones are meant to be much higher. Let's go ahead and move them. They're pretty good there, actually, I think. Let's go ahead and duplicate these. Rotate these 180 degrees. Move these over to here. Let's go ahead and move them up a little bit to there. All right. So let's see what this looks like in terms of our parallax scrolling. I am going to need to do a couple of things. One, I need to make this editable on multiple objects, which is going to be pretty easy. That's one line of code. I just haven't done it for some reason. But yeah, I do actually really enjoy having the clouds in the scenes. They are they're a nice touch and they are very relaxing to watch. All right, so we're gonna go to Final References, Cloud Drift. There we are. So we're just gonna say can edit multiple objects. Pretty straightforward there. We'll let that compile. And while that is going on, I should probably start trying to match the positioning on these things. Do. You know what? I might also go ahead and do this. So I'm going to go ahead and edit Cloud Drift, actually. Because I think I have an idea for a very convenient context menu item. So I'm going to come up to here. I'm going to say private void set positions. We're going to go ahead and say context menu, and we're just going to call it set positions. For those who have not used context menu before, context menu is a very nice attribute that's built into Unity engine that just lets you basically declare a method available for use in the context menu on a script. So I'll show you what that means in a second. We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to say, I'm just going to wrap this all in one big if Unity editor and diff, and we're going to say Unity editor dot undo dot record object this set positions. Okay. All we're going to do here is say this dot, well, not this, we're just going to say start position, or start pose is equal to transform dot local position, and then end pose is equal to I'll just say start pose, actually. Pretty straightforward, very convenient for me, and it means that I don't have to go through and set up individual start and end positions. I can just flag that as the correct thing to do, and then I can use a negative, or set the negative, or the end position of X value to be negative. Pretty simple. I really should utilize context commands more like that. Makes it very, very useful. Alright, so to show you what I mean, so this is what a context command is. You can click this little gear icon here, and you can see the function that I set up. You can also just right-click at the top, so I'm going to say set positions. And you can see that it is updated here. Go ahead and say negative. Pretty straightforward. Don't have to do anything extra there. Let's go ahead. I think I have these 3. Right, so we're going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to say, oh, wrong thing, sorry. Set positions. I'm not sure why that was like that. All right, so these ones, we want the lower ranges to be faster in general. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a range from like 1 to 2 for its speed, and these ones are all going to have a range of, we'll say 0.05 to 0.5 for their ranges of speeds, and let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Works pretty well. I feel like you should probably be facing the other way. I think you get dumped right about here. Yeah, looks pretty good. We could probably put a couple more clouds in the sky, particularly at the ends of the scene. It seems like there's a fair bit of empty space being used there. So let's go ahead and add a few more parallaxing clouds. I do like the lower ones moving faster. That does give it a nice little bit of parallax motion. Not getting a lot of that here, honestly. But aside from that, I think we're doing pretty well. So let's go ahead and stop playing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate you. Go ahead and move this. I'm going to duplicate this. Slide this over to here. That's a fair bit farther down. We're going to go ahead and duplicate this. Move this over to here. Somewhere right about there. Both of these are good. Let's go ahead and set our positions on these. I was going to say, that's interesting that it seemed to not be correct, but I think that was just a GUI problem. Alright, we need a couple more. Let's go ahead and grab you. We're going to go ahead and duplicate that. I'm just going to slide this down here a little bit, I think. Let's go ahead and duplicate you one more time, somewhere like right about here. Let's go ahead and set up both of those positions, and both of those need a negative position for the 100. I should probably do the same for these ones. Okay. So let's take one more look at this, see how they feel. And actually, we might do a little bit of a cloud replacing spree. Replace the ones in the. Okay, I guess. Still feels empty in the sky. I think that's just because there's so much blue space. Maybe I should have. I have an idea. So I am going to do this. It's going to be a little odd, but I think this will work. So I'm going to grab all of these. We're going to change their, well, they should have the exact same. We're going to change their starting position to be 200 and negative 200 for the end positions. Then we are going to go ahead and duplicate these. So I'm going to group these one more time. Call this wave 01. Duplicate these. And then we're going to duplicate that and call it wave 02. Alright, so these are going to require. Actually, I'm not going to do wave 2 yet. I can't just have them all be the same. So I was going to turn off random initial positioning and have them be hand positioned by start instead, so that they would always have an equidistant point, basically. So let's go ahead and kind of scattershot this, I guess. Turn that off, and then nuts to it. Let's go back to here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. We're going to make a new function. I'm going to call this Randomize Start Pose. Randomize Start Position. Okay. Call this Randomize Start Position. And all we're going to do here is we're just going to say initial position is equal to random.value. Pretty straightforward. We'll let that compile. So I'm just going to run that on all of these. It should give them a decent start value. And then once I duplicate it, I can just add or subtract 0.5 to it for each one, and that should basically let it work. And you know what? I can make that even faster by just doing this. We're going to call this adjust start pose. We're going to call this adjust start position. So we're going to go ahead and say if initial position minus 0.5, f is less than 0f, then we're going to say initial position is equal or plus equals 0.5f, else initial position minus equals 0.5f. Pretty straightforward. So this is something that will allow me to quickly randomize their positions, have them be consistent, and then I can duplicate them, adjust those positions by half, basically, so that they're always within view, kind of, but not necessarily close to the existing positions. Do I vary the scale by height? I do not vary the scale. I could do that. That wouldn't be a bad idea. I mostly just assumed that the height differences would induce visual scaling. I could probably move the upper clouds up by a fair amount to make that more pronounced. So something like here. Because at a certain point, they do look smaller when they're scaled, when they're farther away, obviously, just because that's how scaling works. So I can do something like that. Let's go ahead and call set positions. We're just going to go -100 on there. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. We're going to go ahead and go to randomize start position. Those should all have a very different value now. So we can now go ahead and duplicate this. Boom. And I can reselect all of those. I can say adjust start position. So now, what should happen there also, you know what I want to do? I'm going to add one more context command to this. So I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to say snap to start pose, snap to start position, snap to start position. So all we're going to do here is we're going to say transform.local position is equal to vector3.lerp from start position to end pose based on initial position. Very, very nice, easy thing to do. So now I can just select all of those, right click, and have them all pop into their proper positioning. I really should do more with context commands. It's funny, actually, at work I do it a lot. I just haven't really done it much with my workflow at home. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open this up, open these up, open you, and you. We're going to go through here, click, 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 click. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and say snap start pose. Boom. Some of those are incorrect. What is going on here? How does that work? So I don't understand these ones. So this is upper 3. That's clearly not correct. Okay, interesting. Really? saying that that's not enough of a scale. Are they all doing that? Oh, they're all doing that. Okay. Well, no, they're not, because these ones are more... Huh. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Something weird's going on here. So you're at 0.3. I'm just going to, like, move you off. I'm going to say snap to start pose. Okay. And then you are at 0.8. You're almost at 0.9. You should be way, way farther off. I guess not, though. But why are these ones so different? This is lower 4. Yeah, like, look at that. That's a very weird position difference. Also, hello, Dusted Ham. Welcome back. How are you doing today? We're currently working on cloud stuff. Yeah, this is super weird. So, is there a pattern? Are the ones that are spaced... Well, no, they... So all the upper ones are borked, but not the lower ones? Okay, that's an interesting conundrum. Ah, that's why these were set up for 200. That makes more sense. Let's go ahead and snap those to start position. There we go. Okay, so that was my own stupidity causing a problem here. Say 200 and 200. Let's go ahead and snap those into position. Okay, that's a lot better. So this is now what the cloud dispersion looks like, which is a lot more crowded, but again, keep in mind that when they're close to the edges, they're going to be fading in and out. So this should give us a decent amount of cover without looking too crazy, but we'll see. Doing all right. That's good. I am doing all right myself. Getting mentally prepared to do unit testing for TextQuest Parser, and also, yeah, I was a little worried about that. It might be a little too much. I might need to make the distances even larger, something like 300 to 300, because too many clouds can get a bit, weird. So you can see the labels fading out in the distance there. We should see them fading in back over here. I feel like this is a little too cloudy. We're not trying to go for overcast skies here. That is unfortunate. Well, depends on the weather, I suppose. Alright, so I do like the parallax that we have going on. It's definitely nice to have the lower clouds and be moving faster, the upper clouds to be smaller, but I think I just need to space things a little bit more judiciously. So let's go ahead and I'm going to grab all of those points. No, actually, I'm going to go ahead and delete wave 2. We're just going to redo this a little bit. Alright, so for the upper wave in the back here, I'm going to go ahead and move this down somewhere like here-ish. And then I want a... farthest cloud to also be pushed down a little bit. That just helps cover that space a little bit better, I feel. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and grab this. We're going to say set positions. Ah, right. I didn't think about that. So these are going to want to be negative 200 and negative 200 because I got those backwards, I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah. So that's a little bit of a problem, but it's not too bad. Okay. You know what? It might be good for me to do something like this, just to make things a little bit easier on myself. So I'm going to say X, Y, Z, and then we're going to go ahead and say, I'm going to copy this. I really wish I could do nesting for context options or for context menus. Unfortunately, I can't. So we're gonna go, that means we have to do this basically. Vector 3. Oh, actually, I guess that's not too bad. So we're just gonna go ahead and do this. New vector 3. This. Dot y transform dot local position dot z. I know that's not going to quite work just yet. We're just going to go ahead and say start pose dot x here. All right. That is pretty straightforward. I'm guessing I should do that for. I think I usually have them moving in the x-axis. I should probably do it for z-axis as well, and then one for just the y. Nah, it should be fine. So let's go ahead and so we're gonna do this. Come down here. We're gonna say x, y, and then go ahead and come down here. We're gonna say x, y. So this is gonna be kind of the opposite of this. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this, paste you here, make you x. And then we're going to just set this up to be start pose.z. Okay, so let that compile. Now I should be able to move those things without affecting my start and end position x values. Not that it really matters, I guess. I already fixed those, but still. All right, so I'm going to, let's go ahead and make sure that those are correct, I guess. I'm going to increase the range for these cloud drifts to be something like 400 to negative 400. That should make the spacing a lot more apparent and make it feel less cloudy. Okay, so we should be good there. Let's go ahead and grab all these. I'm going to set up this to be 400 by negative 400. And fortunately, since all of my stuff is based off of normalized positioning, it should all work pretty much the same. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. Rename this wave 2. We're going to select all of these, grab you, right click, and we're going to say adjust start positions. I call it adjust stat. No, okay, good. Sure. So let's go ahead and I guess real quick we'll go ahead and say right click, snap to start pose. Then I'm also going to do that on the other ones as well. Snap to start pose. All right, so this is now going to be the clouds that we have. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to say, oh man, you know what? We might end up adding a curve to our clouds. So this might turn into a cloud day. Because it might be nice to have them kind of speed up at the edges and have them be a little bit slower when they're over you. Just so that way they're not quite as for lack of a better term. They're not quite as static, but it's not too bad. This is actually a pretty good distribution, I think. There is some amount of blue, but it doesn't feel empty up there. Okay. Yeah, that seems to work pretty well. All right, cool. So that works pretty well. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. The question is, do we want to allow for variation in that? So there was something else I was thinking of doing with the colors, but I think it'd be okay. The main reason that I would want the bell curve is because, or the curve support is as the clouds get to their edges, they start to fade out. And if that gets particularly long and drawn out, it's not particularly interesting. But at the same time, that's a small gain. I don't think we would really get anything from that. So probably that's not worth the effort, because I'm not really sure where I'm going to be using that very often. So, all right, let's go ahead. Then I'm gonna collapse this. Hit save. I'm gonna hop over to the planes level, and we're gonna see what we're gonna set up the clouds over there too, because they need to be set up. So you can see these are using the old clouds, which are much less interesting. Also, they don't really work anymore. I bet these would null out if I tried to do anything because we don't have the labels. Okay. So I am going to. I guess we'll leave these in there for now. I am going to go ahead and select these. I'm going to pull this in. Boom. And then. So these ones are moving in the z-axis actually, which is problematic. Oh, I guess not. Oh, right, because my north and south got all mixed up in this one. Normally I treat z as north, however, for this one I treated x as north because I didn't know what I was doing when I modeled this level originally. Alright, so let's go ahead and I'm just going to duplicate this one 4 times. This down here. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to say let's go ahead and rotate it 90 degrees. Is that what I want? Yeah, that's pretty good. Alright. Same thing. We're going to have an upper and a lower. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to group these under the old, or under an old game object. Do that, and I'm going to turn it off because they're ugly and I don't want them here. Alright, let's go ahead and we're make a new object. New and new. Pull this up. So this is going to be wave 0, 1. Grab this, we're going to say upper and lower. Okay, so we're going to put, I think we're going to have several in lower. This is actually going to be an interesting case because we have this mountain here, which means that we can't have clouds be too low when they're in the mountain area. Those need to be all kind of upper. So that's going to be an interesting thing to try and do. So lower, let's go ahead and drag a couple of things here. Yeah, that's pretty good for a starting position. Actually, let's go ahead and grab all of these. I'm going to put them like here-ish to start. Alright, so this one's going to go here. Let's go ahead and put this one back over to here. And, you know, actually, I guess that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and we're going to duplicate all of these, move them up to here. I'm going to delete all of them. I'm going to delete these guys. I'm going to make this 1. Okay. So this one we are going to want to have be over here. We're going to move it fairly far up. Move this down to here. About there. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. Move this to here. Duplicate this. Keep that at the same height actually. We'll move this one up a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this again. We're going to rotate this negative 90, so that's coming from the other way. We're going to put this over here. I'm trying not to have too awkward of a cloud cover scenario. So I think I need to move this up a little bit, right about there. Yeah, that works. Let's go ahead and grab this. I'm just going to come over to here. Have you be here-ish. Duplicate one more. I'm going to move this out to here. Okay. So that seems about right. Let's go ahead and set all the start positions. And we want this to be, what are we thinking? I think it was like negative 300. Yeah, okay, that's a really awkward one. I guess, actually, this is negative 50. So we probably want it to be somewhere from like around here. So let's do negative 350 to positive 200. Let's try that. That's negative 350 to positive 225. I'm too conservative there. Alright, so the lower we had moving at a speed of about 1 to 2 meters, and the upper we wanted moving at about a speed of 0.1 to 0.5 meters. We're going to go ahead and get rid of our initial position. We're going to go ahead and say randomize start position value, and then let's go ahead and say snap to start position. Alright, let's duplicate that. Boom. Come back over here. Right click, we're going to say adjust start, and then we're going to say snap to start position. Okay, so this is now what our clouds look like. That is decent coverage, however it is probably a little too close. I'm not a crazy fan about that, but let's see how it looks. I'm also going to come over to here and put you in the post-processing layer. Alright. So let's jump into this scene, see how things look. Okay. Any day now. You can do it. So, how does it look? What in the world is going on there? Oh, goodness gracious me. Really? Huh. So So they're far enough away, I guess, here? Like they're tall enough or far enough that they're experiencing... they're experiencing clipping from my camera plane. That's... I don't know how to react to that because it kind of is awesome. That... I kind of want to keep that in there, actually, because it just makes it feel more dynamic. And they actually don't look bad. Like, it seems like... You know what it is? I bet it's the sign distance field calculations on the shader. I bet it's like freaking out because they're pretty far away. Yeah, actually, you know what? I think that looks pretty nice, and it just makes it seem like the clouds are changing their shadows as you move. So that actually is pretty cool. I kind of like it. So I guess I'm going to say we keep it. Well, so here's the hard part. Does it prevent any sort of clipping through? Nope, it still calculates. All right. Yeah. Then by all means, we should keep this. I'm okay with this. So yeah, that's pretty good for our clouds, I think, in the plains level. I like it. Okay. Let's go ahead and come back over here and save. Wow, I have no idea what's going on here. A rigid body? Man, talk about old problems. Ay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and delete these because they probably don't need anything. Just to be safe, I suppose I'll look at my UI object. I'm pretty sure that I didn't delete anything there. Nope, okay, then we're good to go. Oh, that's what that was. Wow, those were old prefabs. I have no idea why those were there. Okay, that's pretty good on the cloud front, I think, for one day. Having two scenes set up. The castle is already set up to use clouds, not quite in the same way that we have here where they're set positions, but it's fine. They're not, it's very hard to see the castle clouds, I think. You pretty much, I mean, you can easily notice them, but you can't really, there's not a lot of opportunity to see them in the open like there is in the plains and in the grove level. So I was thinking about maybe putting them in the woods, but I don't really want to do that because that would be quite difficult. I kind of shot myself in the foot. I'm a little hesitant to do the grove things now, just because I would like to review my notes on that. But in the meantime, what we can do is take another stab at one of the notes that I have. Let's see here. A lot of model revisions. Oh, yes. That's something I need to test. So we're going to go over here to splash fade. I'm also going to switch out of my Pro Builder view. Back into my generic dev. Don't need you. Alright, we're going to move this over. Save. And we're going to turn you off. Close this. Alright. So one of the things that I noticed is that VSync did not seem to be properly functioning. Well, so these are two separate issues. They both just deal with the same thing. It seemed like VSync was either not operating correctly, i.e. was not being turned on, or my Mac's hardware could not run it properly, which is entirely possible. Of course, you picked the noisiest one. So when we go to display here, wait, is that? Hold on, I want to hear something. Okay, I guess it was just my imagination. I was hearing the sounds of the button clicks in my head, even though it was muted. I'm like, that can't be possible. Anyway, um, so what should happen here is when VSync is turned on, frame rate should get set to unlimited because the the application is controlling the frame rate at that point. You can't have a frame rate lock. So let's go ahead and hit apply there. But when we come back into display, we get this, which is a bit weird. And we had a problem where if VSync was on, this was still unlocked, which is not does not seem to be the case. Let's go ahead and stop playing. I'm going to start playing again. This should let me know if that's actually the case. It could be a simple problem with the menu first being opened. Maybe there's an oversight. Although that definitely is where it says that it's like a 0 locked. That should be unlimited. Let's go ahead and say start. Go to options, display. Here we go. Yeah, you can see that it's 30 locked now, which again, that should be unlimited. But it doesn't seem to be doing what it did at the convention, which was the frame rate was able to be toggled while VSync was on, which was very strange. Oh, hilarious. Is it like toggling it on? Oh, no, that's fine. So let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at that option menu real quick. Okay, so we're going to open this up. All right, we're going to go ahead and close this. And oh, my. Old code means Chris's code habits are going to kick in. He's going to start itching if he doesn't fix some of this for formatting's sake. I've been touching up some code at work from our existing code base, and I just like start scratching if I find a particularly heinous block of old code. Certainly doesn't adhere to my current standards for coding, because you'll notice that a lot of the stuff has public fields instead of serialized fields, which just makes me sad. Okay, so before we do that, let's go ahead and we're going to come over here to open. We're going to cache our frame rate. So, excuse me, sneezed there. I'm going to change this to if it's less than or equal to 0. I don't know why I was stupid and had it set to -1, because by default it's 0 if it's unlimited. So we're going to say cache frame rate is less than or equal to 0. We want it to be unlimited, otherwise it's going to be cache frame rate less locked. Okay, so cache frame rate is going to be set to frame rate, which itself is set to game settings, not frame rate. Let's go to definition, instance.frame rate. Holy crap, that's hilarious, and that's okay. That's funny. No, well, right. So we're gonna pull this over. We're also gonna come back to here, and I'm gonna see where I set this find all references. Good, we do set it to 0. Frame rate is equal to a value. Value is equal to 0. How did we get to 30 then? I don't know how the locked 30 thing happened. That's very weird. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So maybe that's just something I don't have to worry about. I definitely don't need to call that, which is fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna, real quick before I go insane, I'm gonna come up to here. Close this. Get rid of you. I'm going to come up to here, and I am going to make these all be private. I am reasonably sure that none of these need to be public, so I'm going to say serialized field. I'm not going to bother with tooltips. It'll be fine, I think. Let's go ahead and come down here. Boom, 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 boom. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and come down to here. Goodness. This one's going to be a little bit more cumbersome for me to do because I got to do this. Okay, so now my code formatting lust has been satiated. Hopefully, let's go ahead and let that compile. Okay, making sure that I had no nulls, or I had nulls there if I need them to. Should be good. Should be good. Okay, let's go ahead and let that compile. All right. That's right. Okay, let's go ahead and clear this. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you, Unity. Finally. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and let that save and then go again. Well, while that's going on, I recently started. So at work, I'm generally the person who manages our core code and comes up with new tools to help our workflow productivity. And I recently created an editor window for storing scene assets for easy use, so that you could basically, like, if you have a project with multiple scenes in it, you can drag them into this window. It'll persist throughout sessions, and then you have a bunch of scenes that you can double click on to open up. I'm curious as to how useful that's going to be. I've noticed that it's annoying on complex projects, like with tons of folders to dig through to find scenes. So it seems like that tool will be particularly useful for us. Okay, this is problematic. I don't like that it's 30. That does not make sense, because if VSync is on, it should be unlimited. So cached frame rate is just frame rate. But yeah, I call it the scene palette window, and you can like right click on scenes and give them color tinting to make it easier to select or to ID them at a glance. All in all, it was actually pretty cool. I've been trying to get more and more into Unity's editor scripting to really kind of get into its guts to figure out how to do weird things. So I recently figured out how to do like sprite drawing directly in the GUI, which is way harder than it sounds. Because if your sprite is packed into a sprite sheet, then it's a nightmare to try and draw just the sprite itself. Anyway, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to do this if that's less than or equal to 0, or cached vsync. Oh, you're going to make me do a double wrap, aren't you? What? Oh, right. Okay, that's what it is. So or cached vsync is greater than 0. There we go. Like, that is super weird. Okay. So let's go ahead. I could probably actually open that up to every other vertical blank as well. But we'll leave that as is for now. This should fix it. The problem is that I don't know where this cache frame rate of 30 is coming from. Let's go ahead and pop back over here. Right click. Show and explore. Yeah, it's fun to do that sort of thing, but it is something that I don't get to do very often. Still, having the ability to have this sort of like palette of scenes in each project that lets you have quick access will really help, I feel, with navigating the project. That way, whenever you open the project, you don't have to try to remember, like, what scenes were we using? You can just kind of go to that window, have it load up, and select what you were working with. Obviously, you can do something like that by just going to like File, Build Settings, and seeing what scenes are here, but that might not necessarily give you everything that you were working in, just the stuff that you included in the build. In any case, so I need to come back up to here, Text Quest, Assets. We're going to go to Settings. Okay, so this is our folder here. We have a frames per second of 30, which is very weird to me. That I must have a safety check that just defaults to 30, I guess. So let's go ahead and real quick go to frame rate, game settings.frame rate, go to definition. When we set this, we're going to say refresh display settings, blah, 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 blah. Target frame rate is equal to frame rate. So we should have a load function down here. Here we are. We want display, so we want video info, full screen, frame rate. Here we are. If it contains this, then we're going to cast it to this. Otherwise, it's going to go to 30. Is it not being saved then? No, it is. It's getting saved as the frame rate. That is odd. Let's go ahead and find all references here. We don't really like this is the only area that 30 could be coming from. I got a mosquito in here, of course. All right. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to try playing. I'm going to keep an eye on this. So I'm going to turn off VSync, bump this up to 60, and then we're going to take a look at the settings. Stop playing, load up again, make sure that they're still correct, and then we'll try adjusting in VSync to be on and see if that resets it to be 30 for some stupid reason. So we're going to say start, options, display, unlimited. That's good. So set this to VSync. It thought it was 30. Okay, so we're gonna put that up to 120. Hit apply. Let's go ahead and stop playing. Pop back over to here. Okay, 120. Let's go ahead and play. We're gonna go back in there, make sure that it's still 120. Oh, I wonder if it's caching. Like if it's not setting that value when we toggle VSync, that would kind of make sense. Start, options, display, 120 still. Okay, let's go ahead and stop playing. We're going to close this, we're going to reopen this. And it is still 120, okay. So we're going to stop pausing. We're going to go ahead and turn on VSync. Hit apply, save. Actually, let's just go ahead and stop playing. Okay. So we have an FPS of 0. That is correct. And we have a VSync of 1. That's also correct. So let's go ahead and close this. And let's see if it just restarts when we get to this But yeah, in terms of editor scripting, I've learned that it has really sped up workflows a lot. I mean, heck, tonight was an example of very, very, very basic editor scripting technically, and you saw how fast it let me iterate clouds. Like it went from me having to hand position and type stuff in to just like bulk moving things in a matter of clicks, which is a lot faster, obviously. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to here. Yes, you're being set up as 30. Really now, with VSync still being set to 1. So let's go ahead and stop that. I'm going to pop back over to here. I'm going to set this to be 30 again. Save that. Stop you. Come back over to here. I am going to, let's see. So frame rate is only set from a variety of things. So first up, find all references. Where are you set? Everything's in display or frame rate here. Okay. So that makes sense. It can't possibly have been display options view because it hasn't been opened yet and it doesn't exist. So we're looking at something inside of game settings that's doing this. I guess let's go ahead and go down to the load function and see what it thinks it is and what it should try to be. Okay, so frame rate is here. We're going to go ahead and say, after this, we're just going to say debug.log string.format do 0 do 1, and then we're going to go ahead and say, oops, wrong thing. We're going to say video info settings utility dot video frame rate, followed by frame rate. So that should tell me what exactly was being called. So this will tell me exactly what the value was for the JSON when we brought it in. Oh, and you know what? Actually, let's go ahead and also do this just to be absolutely sure. And we're just going to pass in video info dot to formatted string. So that should give us a readout of the JSON blob itself, as well as the raw value for the JSON that we're parsing, as well as the final result of it. I'm kind of wondering if 0 is evaluating incorrectly for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why that would be the case, but maybe that's what's happening. Go. But yeah, I'm actually a little excited for editor scripting, just because I'm getting ready to dive into package manager custom scripting to see if I can get that to work for us at the office. Because if I can, that'll be really awesome. Just to be able to manage importing our common stuff through the package manager directly. There it is. Okay, so it got bumped into 30 for some reason. So you can see that we have an FPS of 0 in our blob. The raw string value is 0, and for some reason it comes out as 30, which means that this frame rate is being adjusted. I see. It's giving us a max. Why? Why on earth would I do that? Okay, that's a safety feature that was born of ignorance. Oh, actually, I bet I know why I did that. I bet I did that as a safety feature in case people tried to manually lower the frame rate down to fit to something below 30. But That's not particularly relevant here, honestly. So I think we'll be fine here. All right. So let's go ahead and we're just going to set that up to here. Let's try this again. But that should fix our problem. As long as I don't do something stupid, I'll try to save it the same way. Good. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and hit play here. See what happens. Oh crap, I need to adjust my settings first. This is not valid. This is not valid. Let's set this back to 0. Alright. Clear that. Let's try this again. Alright. Skip through here. Start. Go to options. Display. Unlimited. That's good. Set U 30, 60, 120. Off, on, unlimited 30, 60, off, on. Cool. So all that, the cycles are correct as well. Pretty nice. Let's go ahead and hit apply there. Let's come back to display. We're going to come over here to unlimited. I'm going to set U, hit apply, come back to display, off, on, off, save, display, off, on, boom, boom, boom. All right. So I think we got that little bit of a UI bug sorted out. I did notice that my aniso filtering seemed a little off on my Mac. It's possible that I cranked that down though. Okay. Let's go ahead and cancel here. So we have everything pretty much working. Let's go ahead and hit back here. And I think that's pretty good, honestly, for us. I did have someone put in a pretty smart alecky name at the convention. Let me see. I think I jotted it down. I think they might have just said that you're. They didn't say your name because I do have a response for that. I think they said something like name. Let me see. Oh, actually, this is a good one. This is a bug that I am curious about. So let's go ahead and hop over to the intro real quick. Castle. We're gonna jump into the castle level. Oh, and also I should probably get rid of that debug statement. Right there. Is that asking about the name thing? So when you start the game, you type in, it asks you a couple of questions like what your name is and all that. And I had someone write a smart alecky name that was them trying to take the piss out of the prompt to write your name. I think they just put their name as name. But in any case, this is a more pressing matter because it's actually a bug, or at least I think it is. Play here. Someone tried to wear the armor, and wear armor evaluated as one word, which was quite unexpected. I'm not sure if that's because of an issue with the armor or an issue with the input. Anyway. Okay, I guess that seems fine. Cool. Maybe that was just a fluke. Let me double check and make sure that my notes were correct. Where armor evaluated as one word. Maybe it's only when we're interacting with nothing. Nope. Huh. Well, all right then. Huh. All right. I guess that's fine. That always concerns me whenever a weird bug like that happens. It only happened once, and I never saw anyone else have that problem, despite trying to wear things, so... Um, Alright, next... I am going to... Well, so we have 20 minutes more. This is something that would probably be good. So this is going to be an interesting editor tool. So for... Let's see, hold on. King, I should have a... King dialogue. So in the castle level, if you recall, there is a bit of dialogue with the king, and he will end his dialogue with this sort of drawn out good luck. I would actually like to change this text so that it gradually fades from gold to gray. This is going to be interesting because I want to basically calculate this. So in order for that to work, I have to calculate out the gradient or the hex values for the colors and put them in color tags around here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to King Avatar, and this is going to be interesting. I'm going to make it another context command because I'm lazy. So we're going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to say if Unity editor, this is going to be the last thing of the night too, I think. I'm going to come up to here. We're going to say context command or context menu, and we'll say gradient last line. Okay, and then this is going to be private void gradient last line, I guess. Okay. So what this is going to do is going to be very interesting. We are basically going to say string builder. Good. Really, I don't know what I was using system.txt for in here, but I'm glad that I have it. I legitimately don't know what it was for. Ah, the player's name. That's right. Okay, so we're going to say string builder. Let's see, new last line is equal to new string builder, and we're going to feed it in dialog text dot length -1, so the last line of the dialog text, and then what we're going to do there is we are going to say int steps are going to be equal to new last line dot, does it have a count? It is just length. Okay. Dot length. I'm not actually sure if I want that to be the case now that I think about it. It's highly vexing that it wasn't quite like that. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to eliminate this space as something that I count as a character. I think I only have the one, so I'm going to go ahead and cheat and just do this. -1. So this is going to be a highly specific context command. But what we're going to do is, oh boy, this is going to be super weird. So we're going to say string here, colors is going to be equal to new string, and then steps dot length. Well, I'll just do that actually, which I guess means that I can just do this. Now that I think about it, I don't think I need to worry about step. Well, no, we'll keep it. We'll cache it like that. Okay, so what we're going to do here, this is going to be a little weird. We're going to say float delta is equal to 1f divided by steps. Okay, and then we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than steps I plus plus. We are going to say, let's see, I need to grab, I'm going to say colors of I is equal to color.lerp from default color to petrified color based off of delta times steps. I'm sorry, not steps times I. And that actually needs to be shifted slightly, which is okay, I guess. You know what? It's fine for me to do that. Right, and then we need to say, oh boy, it would be nice if I made this 2 hex, but of course I didn't. So we're going to say color extension. Oh, hello. Oh, that might be why. So we're going to come up to here, and we're going to say using sleepyowl.common. String. That's also not what we want. So I need to say color extensions dot color to hex. Okay, come over to here. Okay, so that should convert it to a color string. I'm like 90% sure that that's the one that I actually want. There's the color string, hex to color. Yep, that seems about right. So let's go ahead and we're going to let that go. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, oh boy, we're going to do this the fun way. Okay. And I have to do it backwards, don't I? So this first for loop sets up all of our colors in their string format. And then we have to go backwards. We're going to say for int I equals new last line dot length minus 1 I is greater than or equal to 0 I minus minus, and then we're going to say new last line dot insert at I Oh, man. Trying to think about how we want to do this. This is actually going to be I plus 1 and then I think I plus 1, and then the value is going to be colors of, actually no, this is going to be this. It's going to be a backwards colors tag. And then we need to say new last line dot insert at I itself, I think. Frack. This is going to also affect the space, which is okay, I guess. Then we want it to be at I. It wouldn't be I minus 1. I, right? Yeah, so just be at I, and then that's going to be this. It's going to be color equals blah plus that plus colors of I think. Pretty sure that's correct. And then I'm just going to go ahead and say debug.log new last line .toString. This is going to not really do anything, but it should let me see if it looks correct, because we'll get rich text in the debug editor, or in the debug editor, in the editor's console. So it should basically take this good luck and make it a gradient from gold to gray. This is going to go horribly. I just know it. Like just off. Yeah, I thought so. King Avatar 50. Huh? Line 50? Oh, right. Wait, what? Colors. Oh, right. I suppose I could make this steps. Well, for easy's sake, I'm just going to make that -2, I guess. I'm not sure if that's going to work, as I would expect. I think it's going to leave me with 1 on the end. That's incorrect. We'll see. Yeah, it is. Okay. That's fine. So this will look a little wonky, but it should, in theory, still work. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I just need to change this so that it's like this, and then this is just that. And that should make that work. Let's find out. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. I don't really believe in you, but I think you can do it anyway. Once we have this functioning, I will be able to... Boom! A boom! Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to set that up. So I'm going to say at the very end here, we're going to say Unity editor dot undo dot record object. This we're just going to call this gradient last line. And then we're going to say dialog text dot length -1 is equal to new last line dot toString. Okay. And now, once that compiles, I will then run through the scene real quick to test it, which will be very interesting. Because if we get that working, then it should actually be a nice little bit of a effect when the king starts talking. Because the king's avatar fades from gold to gray, but it would be nice if it's texted too. That would be really cool. Okay, let's go ahead and set up. We're going to go ahead and say gradient last line. Boom. Okay, we're going to save this, and let's go ahead and play. Oh yes, one more thing from the convention. People get way too distracted. They do not watch the wizard cutscene at all. I need a different approach to it. It's that people just don't bother to look at it. Nothing. It's not. I don't think that it's necessarily that people. Oh, frack. All right, that's gonna throw everything off. Back in here. I don't have the door stuff solved quite yet either. But because people just don't pay attention to the cutscene at first, they don't see the wizard spawn in. They're just kind of looking around, and then suddenly they're caught up in this magic vortex, and they don't really know what's going on. A couple of people did like the magic box, but aside from that, no one was like, "Wow, that was cool." I got a couple of chuckles at at the king talking, but I got just as many people who mashed to skip through the king's dialogue. So it's frustrating. There doesn't really seem to be a good answer here with regards to the wizard. It's very annoying. So I think I just need a fundamentally different approach. Because this whole cutscene is just people do not particularly care about it. Not that they hate it, it's just that they don't care. Okay. Ah, crap! Ah, frack. Of course, it's because I had it be colors instead of color, didn't I? Ah, whamp whamp. Okay. So cool. Let's go ahead and redo that a bit. And actually, I'm going to cheat. We're going to undo those changes. If only I knew where that was. There we are. Let's go ahead and discard these changes. That was interesting. Okay, we're going to go ahead and right-click, gradient last line. Okay, there we go. That seems to be much better. Let's go ahead and run through that again real quick. That's what happens when you're not careful. Ah, frack. Of course. Also, give me a second. I really wish that post-process volume overrides would not persist in the editor. I wish there was a nice way to kind of turn that off. Also, I think I need to turn this fresco backwards, so that instead of it being fresco from that direction, it should be fresco from this direction. That really does make more sense. I just didn't do that when I originally designed this level. But speaking of level designs, I'm actually going to probably redesign. Not redesign, but I need to remodel. Oh, man. Why? It's because I wasn't careful the first time. I'm going to remodel parts of the castle level, and by parts I mean it's going to be pretty much all of the walls. I just need to move the windows lower so that people can more easily see out them. As well as a couple of other minor issues that I need to do, which is just there are things I need to do, and I shouldn't groan about them. All right, so I'm just gonna skip through here. Okay, here we go. Are you doing it? All right. That took a little bit longer than I was expecting, but I think we eventually got there. Not bad. I kind of like that, actually. All right. That's a pretty good place to stop for the night. We have the king's dialogue fading as he turns to stone. We have clouds set up in our grove and in our plains. And of course, we have a couple of other minor things that we've done. But yeah, that's a pretty good place to stop for the day. So, announcements. We should be on schedule for this weekend. So I should be good to stream at my normal time on Saturday. And just a quick heads up for about a month out. I'm going to be over showing TextQuest at GDEX in October. That's going to be October 11th, I think, that weekend. So I'll be out of town that weekend, so I'm not going to be doing my Devstream that weekend. And also October 4th, I don't know, this isn't definite yet, but I'm looking into going down to Kentucky for a local event down there. I'll talk more details about that once I have confirmation on that or not. So that'll be October 4th. But those are the only two things that I can really think of off the top of my head. So I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the night. So as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.